Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
And good afternoon, everyone. Phil Pinarski here with the Wood TV Live Desk. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. We are now being joined by some pretty elite company. Sports Director Jack Doles is here to really break down the upcoming 2023 NBA draft that is tonight. And Jack, kind of starting off, obviously, we're going to be talking about the Pistons just a little bit. Big news, really, with the hiring of Monty Williams. They got the 5th pick in the draft despite, having pretty high odds to get one of those top picks. But the Monty Williams hire, let's get into that just a little bit at first. What did you think of the hire? And, he brings in a lot of accolades, a lot of NBA experience to a relatively young team.
Yeah, I thought it was a great hire for the Pistons, as good as they could do here. Mainly because you look at what he did in Phoenix. He took over a team that really was struggling when he became their coach. And within a couple of years, now he did have Devin Booker and he had some other great pieces, DeAndre Ayton. He turned them into a playoff team, a team that got to the NBA Finals. Now they added Kevin Durant, and they just didn't make that step to the finals this year. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why he was available. He wasn't going to coach. He already told the Pistons no, but Tom Gores didn't accept that. So he opened up, gave him that record contract. And I think in this case it'll be worth it. Pistons clearly needed a new voice, and now they've got it. They've got some good young pieces. Now they've got a guy who hopefully can put them together, and I expect tonight to be really interesting.
Right, absolutely, and I think Monty Williams obviously coming in with Cade coming off, basically not playing the entire season. He'll be back. Jaden Ivey's playing great his rookie year. Jalen Duren, my guy from Memphis, is playing really, really well. Also, a whole bunch of other cast of characters, and of course they have whoever they decide to take with the 5th pick tonight. Obviously Victor Wembanyama is assuming to be the number 1 overall pick to San Antonio. I think many people would think the Spurs are crazy if they didn't do that. Scoot Henderson, Amen Thompson, and also Alabama's Brandon Miller are expected to be those next 3 picks, which leaves Detroit with, a whole bunch of other players out there. A lot of people seem to be thinking that they're going to go after Whitmore out of Villanova. He's a good pick there. Where do you think, I guess, my question for you, Jack, is where do you think the Pistons are going to go, and more importantly, where do you think they should go in tonight's draft?
Well, they need a shooter. They need somebody who can, shoot the lights out. First off, I don't know that they'll hold on to that 5 pick.
Really?
I don't know if they'll hold on to that 31 pick. Troy Weaver said in his press conference earlier this week, he's the kind of guy that doesn't like to bunt. He likes to swing for the fences. Mm-hmm. And with that 5th pick, you're going to have a lot of teams that are going to be very interested. What are they going to offer up? Now, the Pistons how much longer can you do this rebuild? Pistons fans have been very patient. Remember, this is a franchise that was 6 straight years. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and now it's been, some really, really lean years for Detroit. Mm-hmm. But there are there's some guys out there at 5. I wouldn't be shocked if Ozzer Thompson is a name that I've seen the Pistons shown up with a lot. Another guy who's a really good shooter, played for Overtime Elite. Jarris Walker is a name that a lot of people are pinning to the Pistons, but he's more of a power forward. So, you've got Duren in there already. If you bring him in, how does that change Duren's spot? I mean, Duren showed great growth last year.
Absolutely.
Plus, he got even bigger. And now if you've got Cade Cunningham, a healthy Cade Cunningham, and what we saw in the first couple of weeks of the season when he was playing, he was special. I mean, the Pistons looked like, okay, and then you added Bogdanovich. Now the question is, will Bogdanovich be there at the end of today? Mm-hmm. Will the Pistons move him? Alec Burks. So the Pistons have $30 million in cap space. A lot of teams don't have that. So there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to be offering up, especially for that 31st pick. Mm-hmm. Pistons are going to get some pretty good talent that'll be paraded in front of them for that 31st pick, because that 31st pick is not guaranteed money. There's going to be a lot of teams right now. There's going to be new levels of penalties to teams that go over the salary cap. And with the Pistons having space, there's a lot of teams that will be coming to them that need to shed some salary, maybe shed some players they don't want to lose.
Right.
And for that 31st pick, that's going to be a very valuable piece for the Pistons to play with there.
So you wouldn't be surprised if Detroit decided to move off that 5th pick and maybe fall back in the draft a little bit, get some other assets in a trade like that?
I wouldn't be shocked, especially if they can go down just a couple of spots, and we see it in the NBA or in the NFL all the time. There might be a player they really like, Whitmore. Maybe there's teams behind them they don't think they would take him. Maybe they can get him at 10 and get another piece for that. We'll see. Troy Weaver has shown in the past. I mean, remember he made a move last year after he took Jaden Ivey to get Jalen Duren. He made a very aggressive play. He's been very aggressive with his trades and his moves. He's not afraid to do that. Says he swings for the fences, and we've seen it. What we haven't seen in Detroit are the wins piling up, and that needs to change. And clearly with that move to bring in Monty Williams, Tom Gorse is getting a little impatient as well.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And Jack, kind of switching gears just a little bit, we are, of course, going to be keeping an eye on what Detroit does, but there are a couple of Michigan athletes that could hear their names called tonight. We were talking earlier about some Wolverines like Jet Howard and Kobe Buffkin who could hear their names called, but also Imani Bates out of Eastern Michigan. He returned back to the state after spending a year at Memphis. Was projected to be originally a lottery pick. Now people are saying, end of the first round, maybe beginning of the second round. Where do you see these three guys kind of falling?
Yeah, Bates, there's a lot of baggage to it, so I'm not sure where he goes, but the guy who's really rising right now is Kobe Buffkin. We're talking multiple different mock drafts I've seen, and just watching NBA TV last night, they're all projecting him now as a lottery pick, anywhere from 8 to the Washington Wizards to 15 to the Atlanta Hawks. I've seen his name with the Toronto Raptors multiple times. So Kobe Buffkin is, you saw him his freshman year at Michigan. He wasn't playing all that much. He just, he needed to grow. He needed to figure it out. Well, he figured it out in the second half of the season, Phil. And since then, I know he's been out in California. He's been working on that shot. That was the thing that maybe was going to be the biggest weakness in his game. But right now, Kobe Buffkin is one of the fastest risers in this draft. Would not be surprised if he's a lottery pick and gone at the latest at 15. Jet Howard, probably a little later than that. I'd say somewhere in the 20s. Imani Bates will be really interesting. I think he's the kind of guy that teams might jump on really quickly in the second round, but I'm not sure anybody wants to give him guaranteed money under his current, with the way he has, handled himself, all the missteps he's had. 2 years ago, if he would have, if high schoolers would have been in that draft, he probably would have been a lottery pick at age 17, 18.
Right.
But a lot of missteps, a lot of things, at Memphis, and he certainly was better at Eastern Michigan, but I don't think he dominated the way you would expect him to dominate in the MAC. So, he's got incredible skills. He's still very young. But I don't see teams wanting to give him 4 or 5 years of guaranteed money at this point.
Right, absolutely. And of course, we're going to be keeping an eye on everything. Jack, you and the rest of the sports team are going to be all on top of the NBA draft. Real quick before we go, Jack, over under 3 minutes before the Spurs make their pick official. Do you think they're going to take the entire time on the clock tonight, or do you think they're just going to get it out of the way?
If they take the entire time on the clock, it's only because the NBA has asked them to.
Right.
There's no question it's Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, exactly.
No question. I mean, that was the prize. That was the guy the Pistons were hoping for. And I remember, if you go back to when Andrew Luck, and the old saying, was suck for luck.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams kind of were hoping to get Wembanyama, and the Pistons' luck could not be worse these last 2 years, falling back. They won the lottery when they got Cade, but this year was the year you really wanted to win that. And of course, it goes to a franchise that had David Robinson, and a franchise that got Tim Duncan after that.
Haven't they gotten enough? They have 5 championships. Tim Duncan, David Robinson, the whole shebang. They really need this. They could go a couple years in Missouri.
Cut it out. But I will tell you, though, the guy we're going to follow very closely, though, is Kobe Buffkin. He went to Grand Rapids Christian High School, started there, then Michigan. We're going to be out at a relative's house draft night. They're going to have a draft party. So we'll get some reaction there. But, they invited him to New York, to the green room. And that tells you that very certain almost that he's going to be a first-round pick. But the way we're hearing, all the buzz we're hearing now is definitely lottery.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely something to keep an eye on, something we're very excited about. We hope that everybody who has their names called, has a, great time, really, if they're in New York or they're watching with their families. Jack, thank you so much for stopping by the live desk. We really do appreciate it, and we're going to be keeping a close eye on the NBA draft tonight.
All right, one quick thing, Phil.
Yeah.
Last lottery pick from Grand Rapids. Any guesses?
I could not tell you.
Well, first, Devin Booker.
Yeah. Right.
From Granville, but Chris Kaman.
Really?
Went to Tri-Unity High School, Trinity Christian High School, and it was the year that LeBron was drafted. That incredible draft. LeBron and Dwayne Wade, Pistons took Darko.
Right.
Chris Kaman had a great career.
Yeah. He always gets forget about being in that draft class because he wasn't LeBron or Dwayne Wade or Carmelo Anthony, but he certainly wasn't Darko Milicic either.
No.
Yeah,
he was an all-star, but on the Olympic team for Germany.
Yep.
And Chris, one of the most interesting human beings I've ever met.
Right, and you'll see him walking around West Michigan. I've seen him a couple times. I've only been here for 6 months, Jack, and I've seen him a couple times walking around here.
Yeah, when he's not hunting in Alaska.
Right.
He's hanging out.
Absolutely. All right, Jack, thank you so much once again for stopping by, and we look forward to seeing your coverage later on tonight.
Sounds good.
Yeah, all right.